Welcome, everyone, and we are the Uneducated Gamers Podcast, presented by GalaxyGameTV.com. And in today's episode, as I think I say this all the time, boy, do we have a spicy episode. We're going to talk about some crazy stuff going on into the MTG world right now. It's all over the place. Some things that, man, I don't know. It's just crazy. And massive leaks have been hitting the internet on Nintendo Switch 2 and the release details on that. And I have some exclusive scoop information. But before that, I want to say, hiya, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. It's a wonderful Wednesday evening.
I'm excited to be right. That Switch 2 was coming.
You know, I think, and this goes back to, I think, 2 episodes. Well, we'll get to that when we get to Nintendo. But yes, there's a lot to unpack with that, and a lot to unpack with this episode. However, one of the things and one of the announcements that I want to make, and I think as we have mentioned this year in the beginning, we're slowly evolving and making changes to this podcast as well as the content that we do. First, I want to say congratulations, Mike. I finally got you on the website.
Woohoo! Hey! Thank you. Thank you. I'm here till Thursday. I'd like to thank God and my mom.
Well,
and Brett Favre.
We are Brett Favre. What? Who is that?
I think he plays for the Jets.
Formerly the Vikings. What? But pretty soon we're going to be announcing a sponsor to the show. So things are changing. You'll get like 15 cents an episode.
Woo! It's infinitely more percentage-wise than I'm making currently.
Really?
At least I'm not you, who's probably losing money each episode.
I mean, like, I'm just like, you know, that cash is coming right out, man.
Dinero.
But you know what? I claim I'm able to claim things on taxes and such, so it all evens out at the end, so I'm not really worried about it.
That's what hobbies are for.
And I enjoy doing this with you, and I think eventually we'll get over the threshold of 20 followers and listeners.
And we'll make 25 cents an episode.
Exactly.
I can get myself a candy bar in 4 months.
I mean, that's going to be an 80% raise.
Man, I wish my job would give me an 80% raise.
I'll make sure I bring a quarter with me this weekend just to give it to you.
Put it in the Zonk prize.
For conceptual perspective for everyone listening, Mike and I are getting together with a good friend of ours this weekend for his birthday. Shout out to Shipping Shield, Greg, who's been on this podcast talking about Magic the Gathering previously, is his kind of birthday bash this weekend. So pretty excited about that.
29.
29? That's it? Oh man, I'm doing it wrong. Speaking of Magic the Gathering, our first topic today, we got to dive into this.
Topic number 1, Michael was right. Never been so sad to be right.
You know, all right, so let's start with the garbage news. Quite literally, the garbage news, right? So recently, there's been these images that have sort of circled around Reddit and many different social media channels on Magic the Gathering products being dumped in landfills. and there's these pictures, and that, like, it's kind of interesting because I don't know, they look real, but also potentially look like they could be faked. I don't know. It's like these, like, if anybody has ever been to a landfill or have seen pictures of a real landfill, like, these are like full on, like, pallets just like placed on top of a landfill. Usually before items hit a landfill, they're usually ground up. They're not like these whole items, right?
There are official channels for destroying defective product.
Right. So, but anyways, these things are kind of circulating the internet. Mike, what's your thoughts, man, on this whole like landfill MTG thing?
On the one hand, I would not be surprised in the slightest if it were real. Wizards of the Coast going, oh, we couldn't get people to buy this for $1,000 a booster pack. So instead of lowering the price, we're just going to throw it away. That sounds exactly like something they would do. On the other hand, without any proper evidence other than photos from Reddit, I can't honestly, like, in good faith, lead credence to it.
I think the fact that companies destroy product that are defective or unsalvageable is not uncommon.
No, everybody does it. Everybody has to do it.
It's a good faith gesture from a consumer perspective that you do not sell defective product. Now, granted,
Wizards puts a lot of defective product out all the time.
there are things that miss the QA going across the board. However, things that are batches that are known to be bad lots, right? It's not uncommon for a bad lot to be destroyed. The part that I still have yet to really like say that this is legit, and what I mean by legit, I mean the photos being legit that are being circulated, is the fact that I have a hard time believing that a full pallet is just dumped on top of a landfill of stuff that's been crushed already.
Yeah. If it was damaged product, they would have gone through their normal channels of getting rid of it.
Right.
And if they were trying to hide stuff, they still probably just would have thrown it in with the damaged product, would be my guess. You wouldn't just have somebody like taking it out back and kicking it down the road.
Wizards has their own storage facility that they store product in, right? So
right.
If it's truly product that they're not looking to sell, they'll put it in their vault. Right?
Like their however many packs of legends that they found randomly.
They didn't find them. Those existed. They knew they existed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The organization still, I'm sure, has some level of alpha beta floating around in the organization somewhere.
Yeah, they just have an Indiana Jones style warehouse full of boxes of rare magical items.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, companies do that, especially companies that are like, of collector origin, right? It's not uncommon for them to do that.
The caveat with this is this product was universally hated and completely unreasonable. So I don't think this is something that they could like put away and try to bring out in 10 years and have people look favorably on and splurge on, like Legends, for example.
Well, maybe not to sell, but to say give to employees at some point or what have you.
No.
I mean, like, they do that. They are known to do that. Like, there are employees of Wizards, and I'm not going to name exact names, but there are people who, they have received special items that are like vault items that can no longer be purchased, right? It's not uncommon for that to happen. And I think one of the things that kind of just like makes me scratch my head a little bit about this story. And I'm mainly talking about the specific story that's being circulated. Destroying of magic cards, again, that stuff happens, and it has been happening for years. This is not new, right? But the way that it's being depicted, I think I'm feeling that it's quite disingenuous. Now, I could be wrong.
Who's to say that a floor shift manager knew he had to destroy some stuff, but either got lazy or just didn't have the time or money in the budget to deal with it, so just chucked it in a landfill? Like, that's something I could believe happened too. Like, there's any number of ways where this could legitimately just have happened due to negligence or lack of time or lack of budget. But the conspiracy theory that they're destroying product to keep its value up is, well, also possible. Hard to believe without.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree. I mean, my challenge with this whole story is the fact that that it's done to control the amount of the quantity that's available or out there, which I think is, I don't know. I think that's a preposterous like perspective, in my opinion.
Definitely possible. Not Wizards, Hasbro. Hasbro is scummy.
Oh, sure.
Definitely possible. But if the pictures are real, my money is on negligence, not conspiracy.
But I feel like it's like, if it's negligence, that's gross negligence, and who would have put them there, right? Is the negligence then on the company who handles these types of things? Certainly not Hasbro or Wizards. They don't get to go to a dump site and go to a landfill to put things directly into a landfill. That's not how that works.
No, it probably came from the manufacturing site, the printers.
Right. So like who is the one here then? And one of the things that Rudy pointed out in his video, right, is the tags that are on these pallets that are displayed here, if legitimate, these aren't distributor tags. These are completely different tags than what are seen on distribution pallets. So with that said, to your point, this may be unbeknownst to Wizards or Hasbro that these things were just destroyed because the QC, these pallets, this lot didn't pass the QC. There could be many reasons why this has happened. It could also be that there's just too many damn products and the printer's just like,
fuck them. So, like I said, some guy who's overworked for too little pay for far too 12-hour shifts said, we just got to get rid of these, put them in the back of this work truck. We're taking them to the dump.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, and kind of leading into that product fatigue kind of topic, right? And kind of taking that next step in this conversation, and one of Brian Tolarian Community College videos, right, on talking about product fatigue, and many of the things that he says in this video, and the many things that he is discussing, I want to be honest with you, he is spot on everything he's talking about, as he usually is. Like Brian's writing with him and his staff that does his content. It's well researched, well thought out, and well put together, right?
Yep.
With his own, obviously his own perspective thrown in the mix, right?
Sure.
But man, the things that he's talking about in this video are some of the same things that many of us have been talking about, but he takes it to a level of understanding that a lot of people think and talk about product fatigue as too many sets, too many different items to purchase that are differentiating of others, like secret layers. We have 9 sets in a year, plus we have the ancillary sets, plus we have the ancillary commander sets. he takes it even deeper and talks about specifically the fact that it's not just the amount of sets or products that we have that are ancillary to others. It's the amount of products that we have for each set that compounds it all, as well as the amount of different variations that have their own, set of, you can only get this here, you can only get this here, you can only get this in this place.
And not only that, but the definitions of what you get in each product changes every set.
Yes.
It's impossible to know what you're going to get.
One of the things that Brian says in his video, right, is like, we have to, like, Wizards goes with this notion, and it's a ridiculous notion. And I think Brian finally has been able to sum it up, what everybody else been trying to figure out how to explain it. And that's, yes, product fatigue is not just the amount of sets. It's how many things that we have to look at. And Wizard says, oh, well, just don't look at the things that you just don't care about. The problem is we got to look at everything to understand what we care about.
That, and they keep putting stuff that affects the formats we care about in unrelated product.
Exactly. And that is the other thing. People who play Pauper, Modern, Legacy, Commander, everything Eternal formats, plus Standard, we have to look at what's coming out that's going to impact those things in order to understand, what is this going to do for the format that I play.
Allosaurus Shepherd, one of the most broken cards in Legacy, was in a one-off Jumpstart product.
Yep.
And was never reprinted again.
No, it was.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah. So Allosaurus Shepherd was reprinted in Double Masters.
Oh, I don't remember that. See, I don't have any idea.
Yeah. So it was reprinted.
I'm uneducated.
It was right? Double Masters?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm seeing on Scryfall. Huh. Okay. I don't remember it being in that set.
But the thing is because it was printed in a master set, that doesn't mean it goes into Modern.
No.
And
because
again,
it's not a true Eternal format.
Somebody who is just coming into playing Modern, you see this Double Master set and you're like, oh, where's all these cards? Now you have to figure out, are all these cards playable in the formats that I play? This is where Wizards of the Coast, I think, is a blind side. As Brian said as well, a blind side to what it takes to be a individual who plays this game, both new, concurrent, and returning.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hasbro doesn't give a shit about the game. All they want is people to buy cards. They don't care what you do with them.
Yeah, and that's where I think sometimes things get a little conflated, and we don't differentiate the difference between Hasbro business and Wizards of the Coast in general. And it's
they are married at this point.
They are, but I think, as we've discussed previously too, and I think many people have discussed this, not just us. This is not unique. This is not a unique take just from us. But the people that work for Wizards of the Coast, the majority, we're not talking about C-suite or people who are executive or above. We're talking about the actual contributors to Wizards of the Coast.
Mark Rosewater, Gavin Verhey, Melissa DeTora.
Exactly.
It's not their fault that this is such a confused nightmare mess.
Exactly. These are the business people that run this and run the numbers and say, okay, how can we, as Rudy says, right? It's how can we squeeze every single dollar for every single product and every single direction that we take, right? Perfect example. And again, perfect segue. And we've talked about current prices of Magic the Gathering cards with a couple of people, right? And when the price hike happened, we had Greg from Shipping Shield on the podcast to talk about the price hike and how this is going to impact sellers, right? And we've talked about it from a seller perspective. We've talked about it from the store perspective with Kevin at Rogue Deck Builder, Gone Rogue Games, who is also Rogue Deck Builder. But like looking at some of the stuff that has been sort of just recently put out there with Commander Masters and the Lord of the Rings, what is it, Universes Beyond set. And
which I'm not looking forward to. Aside,
what's that?
I'm not looking forward to that.
Lord of the Rings?
There's no way they do it correctly. There's no possible way for them to do it correctly.
We'll put a pin on that. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. I want to talk about this chart that I put together that nobody can see, obviously, because we're on a podcast. And I will post this in our posting on our website, so that way people can take a look at this. But I created a chart that outlines the four products for each set, right? Commander Masters and Lord of the Rings. There's 4 products total. Well, 4 products I'm talking about. There's a few others ancillary in here, which again goes back to there's too many freaking products for one set. I have it broken down by how many packs you get in each of the product, and what is the price per box, what is the price per pack, and what is the price per card in each pack. Now, Mike, I'm going to throw this over to you for a moment because you had gotten to your soapbox a while back.
My soapboxes will be the end of this show. The downfall of uneducated gamers.
But
who let the midget rant?
I sort of dismissed your point of view, but now that I've sort of looked at this and I've kind of rebroke it down from a card perspective. One of the things that you mentioned previously is the fact that Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro, cardboard for them is printing cardboard, right?
Yep.
And if you go to any printer, you go to, MDK, or you go to any of these I think it's a drive-through cardboard or whatever, you go as a person, as a business, and you go and have tokens printed or any other thing printed. The cost is going to remain the same, generally speaking, outside of inflation. The cost to print is going to be the same damn price.
Regardless of what your ink you're putting on the cardboard.
Exactly. Regardless of regardless of what the card is. Right?
Yep.
Yet, like, some of these numbers are ridiculous.
The set box booster. So again, these are there is no MSRP because somehow that's legal. The boxes aren't out yet. They've just been have they even actually been officially announced, or are they just rumored?
No, these are the prices on Amazon right now that you can pre-order.
So those are potentially inflated because of people going on and trying to scalp them. You know how that stuff tends to work.
Well, so these are the direct from Wizards Amazon prices.
There's no third-party influence whatsoever on these prices?
No. These are all the Amazon prices direct from Wizards direct Amazon pricing.
I keep trying to give myself an out so I don't have to step up on the soapbox.
Sorry, buddy. This is the truth. This is the cold, hard facts that we're living right now. So for folks, real quick, let me tee this up for you. For the folks who don't know, like Wizards of the Coast, a few years ago, they started using Amazon as a direct to Amazon sell, right? So just like other businesses who drop off pallets of stuff to Amazon, Amazon handles the logistics. They sell it and ship it from Amazon through Amazon, direct from Wizards. So all of these pre-order numbers right now, the numbers that are on here, and I'm going to run down the list really quick. These pre-order numbers per box are Wizards of the Coast stock that is being funneled through Amazon. Commander Masters, which is, master sets are often more expensive than standard boxes, right? So Commander Masters, stupid. Which you'll get to that, I'm sure. Commander Masters, what they call draft booster boxes, which is basically packs that are meant for 8 people to sit around a table and draft the set. And the way that you draft is you open up a pack, you look at it, you grab 2 cards, you pass the pack to the next person, and you go around until the pack's empty. And then you do that for 2 more times. So that's what a draft booster box is. Commander, and so that is at 24 packs at $309 for a box, which is roughly about 70% higher than normal booster boxes that come out. And we'll get to that in a minute.
Let's stop for a moment and just absorb how ridiculous it is to pay $309 for a box full of cardboard.
I knew you were going to do that.
Before we even talk about these prices specifically and how egregious the increase they are, even paying the $200 they were before for a box of cardboard is ridiculous.
Yeah, and previously draft draft master sets were $229, right? Back in the day, $229 a box.
Friends don't let friends buy sealed product.
Well, friend, why do you allow me to still buy sealed product?
I have no control over you. Technically, you're my boss.
Well, I don't know about that. We're bosses together.
Go team venture.
Okay, let me run down these numbers and then we can come back to your soapbox. Commander Masters set boosters, 24 packs, $419, which is outlandish for 24 boxes. 24
$419.
Yes.
They didn't quite have the balls to make it 420. That's the most disappointing part about this whole thing.
Commander Masters collector boosters. So collector boosters are kind of like these like super crazy.
No. 419 was the set boosters.
Yeah. No, I'm moving on to the next one.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
So Commander Masters collector boosters, which are like these special versions of cards, like borderless cards, special foiling, what have you. 4 packs in a box, which I don't know if you can even consider 4 packs a box. But anyways, I digress. $227 for 4 packs. Now
$57 a pack for cardboard. For 15 piece of randomly generated cardboard.
Next, the Commander set. So these are 100 card decks that we play Commander. It's a format that's 100 card singleton format, meaning it's 100 cards and it's only 1 card of any kind outside of basic lands. Now, this one blew my mind too. I was like, wait, what? $309 for 4 Commander decks, which again is absolutely insane, especially when we get down to the Lord of the Rings. All right. Numbers for Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to run this down now that I've given the explanations. Draft, set, collector, and commander. So the draft boosters for the Lord of the Rings set with 36 packs, which is way more than the master sets, right? $164. So $309 versus $164 on the draft. Lord of the Rings set boosters are $184 versus $419 on the Commander Masters. And the collector boosters for Lord of the Rings, which has 12 packs and not 4 packs, is $384 versus $227 for 4 packs. The Lord of the Rings Commander set of 4 is $186 versus the $309 of Commander Master set of 4. Anyone else exhausted after I just read off all those freaking products? Holy smokes. Anyways, Mike.
These are 2 sets.
These are 2 sets. Come on, man. All right, soapbox time. I gave you enough time.
Man. I don't know where to start with this. $300, $400 even for if you're going for set boosters. First of all, don't buy set boosters. Set boosters are bad. You can't even draft with them. There's literally no point to buy them.
I actually kind of disagree with that sentiment. I buy set boosters because, in my opinion, they are, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, in this case, not generally speaking, a better value.
Why are you buying packs for value? Don't buy packs for value. That's your first mistake.
Well, what I mean by that
it's
is
a loot box.
if I'm buying a box of something to open up things that I care about, I'm going to buy set boosters over draft boosters. But if I'm buying a box to say, draft with you guys like this weekend coming up, I'm going to buy a draft booster box. So that's just my perspective.
The purpose of packs is to draft them. Don't open packs for value. The house always wins. If you're looking for specific cards, buy singles or print your own.
Okay, I digress. Go ahead and move forward.
Players are getting fleeced. Don't buy into it. What really, really weirds me out is that the video gaming community, went on a huge crusade against loot boxes for years, to the point where now, depending what country you live in, the government is outlawing them. But in the TCG space, you still have a large community of people who are defending booster packs. And I don't understand. Why are you letting them do this to you?
Well, okay, but that is a contradiction to what you were just talking about of if you're going to buy booster boxes, don't buy them for value, buy them to draft.
Buy them to draft.
Right. So that's why draft boosters exist. And the reason why people would buy a draft booster box is like what we would do this weekend is go and draft a box of whatever, insert name of set. Right. So yes, they're from that perspective, I get you. They're kind of that loot boxy kind of thing. But the counterpoint that I'll say to that is you can't have a draft booster box without it being loot boxy.
Okay. Yes, that's inherent to the draft. But that's what I say. Draft is a fantastic way to play the game, not for $300. And I know I'm kind of I'm not necessarily moving the goalpost. I'm kind of just going back and forth between points here. But do not buy packs for value. They are not value. The house always wins. You get screwed every single time. Drafting is a fantastic way to play the game. $300 is not it, Jim. That's ridiculous. Set boosters, by those two pieces of logic, have no reason to exist, and especially should not exist for $420.
Speaking of that, so let's talk about these numbers a bit, right? And this is where things get a little interesting when we talk about numbers. And I think you made a good point about this a long time ago, and I agree with this. More and more that I think about it, and more that I stew on this, holy crap, this is stupid to me, right? So let's think about this again. Any person that goes somewhere to has something printed, they're not going to tell you, oh, you want to print this word on this t-shirt? Oh, it's going to be more. There's a surcharge because you're going to print this word on a t-shirt. Or you're going to print a poster. Oh, this poster is going to have this depiction of this figure on it. Oh, it's going to be more because of that depiction of that figure. No, it's going to be the same damn price. Regardless of the specificity of the information that is going on that print. Yet, the interesting thing about this, and this is where I think Wizards of the Coast kind of ratchets up and takes that ladder, right? And that ladder of numbers to make money and boost here and here and here, and those numbers go up and up and up, is let's just take Commander Masters draft set collector boosters for an example, right? Draft boosters, $13 a pack. $13 a pack for a draft booster. Okay, so that's $4 more than what it used to be. So
$40 to draft a set.
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
$18 for a set booster and $57 for a collector booster because there's only 4 packs. But this is where it gets interesting, because just because of the number of packs is different. Draft booster is 24 packs with 20 cards. By the way, that's a weird number. 20 cards in a draft booster?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on there.
Well, because you take 2 cards for drafting and commander.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, that math doesn't work out then.
I know it doesn't.
Because the 24 packs is the right number for 8 people to draft because each person gets 3 packs.
60 cards.
Yeah.
So you're building a 60 card commander deck, basically.
Oh, right.
So draft boosters, if you break it down, and this is a rudimentary way of breaking it down, but I think it tells a story, right? Draft boosters for Commander Masters, each card with 20 cards per pack. Essentially speaking, you're paying 65 cents a card, right? Set boosters with 24 packs and 15 cards per pack, you're paying $1.20 per card. Collector boosters with 4 packs, 15 cards per is $3.80 per card. That is a 3x multiplier. If you actually look at that from a math perspective, that's a 3x multiplier up the chain.
Yep. Now, with the collector booster, so we talked about how it doesn't matter what you print on the card, it's the same price. That is not entirely true for the collector boosters, because they change up because it's all the special foiling processes and the custom lifted whatever particular frame they changed or the way they foiled it changed. They have to redo their tooling for that. So that genuinely costs them more to switch between the different tools.
But how about I bring in the Lord of the Rings numbers really quick? So Lord of the Rings draft boosters, 36 packs, 15 cards per, 33 cents. So 33 cents versus 65. Set boosters, 50 cents a card, 30 packs, 12 cards per. So 50 cents versus $1.20 on the set boosters of Commander Masters. Collector booster Lord of the Rings, again, is going to have... They're pretty consistent about their treatments and how they do the different sets, right? Like they get some, crazy stuff going on. Especially Lord of the Rings is going to have serial number cards in the collector boosters.
Ugh.
$2.14 per card versus $3.80 in the Commander Masters. Why is it different?
I mean, it's still 4 times the price going from set to collector. What's wild though is that for the Lord of the Rings set, why is it 36 packs in a box and 30 packs in a box, as opposed to the Commander stuff where it's 24 and 24 and then 4 packs for the collector? Like what did the Commander players do to deserve this? It's double the price for half the cards on every single one of those products. And the craziest part about this, the saddest part about this whole thing, is that Commander players, they're not playing a sanctioned competitive format. This is all people who just jam basic lands in their 100 card singleton deck at home.
Exactly.
They're the type of people who, if you're doing anything but printing your own cards, you're getting fleeced, because there's no reason for you to need a real card other than personal preference, which is legitimate, but then they think that they're gonna milk the people who don't need these for twice the price, as opposed to even the people who play cards in sanctioned events and technically, quote unquote, need real cards to legally play.
Yeah. I mean,
what kind of business? This doesn't even make sense from a business strategy.
I think here's one of the things that I find very interesting about this, right? Is typically speaking, when you're building a business, right, especially a printing business, and Wizards of the Coast, let's face it, they're in a design and printing business. Even though they don't print it, they are in a printing business, right?
They have to manufacture a product. Absolutely.
Right. So how is their cost base fluctuating depending on the set
It
that they're
isn't.
printing?
Unless they're completely redesigning their tooling, which, to be fair, the last few sets, they've had completely different foiling processes every set. So that is a legitimate thing. But I don't think that's what we're seeing here.
No, because think about it. Like, they're not going to do serial edition cards on the Commander Masters sets, but they're going to do them for the Lord of the Rings.
Right. And yet the Lord of the Rings are cheaper.
Right. So
yeah, you know what's even stupider about that is they have to pay a royalty for Lord of the Rings stuff, don't they?
yes, exactly.
Like the Tolkien estate gets a portion of these cards printed, or I don't know what the specific
license fees.
royalty is. Yeah.
They have to pay license fees for it. So that's the thing. Commander Masters is their own IP. Lord of the Rings is not. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I think the Lord of the Rings prices are actually not horrific, considering that they are an established IP that they have to pay licensing for.
No, it's actually like a little bit on track with what their normal booster boxes are.
Exactly. So what's the deal here? And I know we're focusing on the Commander players and Commander Masters as the focal point of the differentiator and the cost, but I think it's Master sets in general are often treated this way. Essentially speaking, right? Like when we get down to brass tacks and we think about kind of, I know we've been focusing on like Commander Masters and Commander, but Master sets have always been more expensive than regular sets, right? Mm-hmm. However, here's the thing. And again, I'll go back to what we started with and what we kind of let off with. And the fact is if I'm an artist, right? And I go to this printing company and, oh, you're printing an elf? Oh, we got to give you a surcharge for printing that elf because it's popular. Oh, wait. Oh, we went to Phyrexia again, right? And you're printing a Praetor token? Oh, you know what? I think we got to give you a surcharge because you're printing a Praetor token. Like, seriously, that just doesn't happen. Looking at these numbers, and when you boil it down to this nth degree, it just doesn't make any damn sense.
And it goes back to what I said earlier. How are they not running afoul of gambling and loot box laws, especially in these companies that are locking that down?
Yeah, and you know what's funny is what I would really like to do is we have these captured now, Commander Masters and Lord of the Rings. What I would like to do is I would like to capture the next 6 to 8 sets and then revisit this later on and kind of just talk about it and really hammer on this, because I think what we're going to find out, what I'm suspecting we're going to find out, is the fact that we're going to see a gigantic swing in these next 6 to 8 months, that these incrementally numbers, although they may go up 10, 15 cents, 30 cents per card over time, compounded into a box format is an atrociously crazy amount of money and fluctuation and choice. And I'm going to say, this is the reason why we have so many products. This is why we have so many different things, because people won't focus on the details. And that's this. I don't know. I mean, like, what do you think?
I'm just going to sound like a broken record. Like, it's disgusting. Don't buy this. The only people who buy this are the people who are scalping them to sell them later. Like, that's Wizards' primary market right now, is people who buy the boxes to resell them for profit. Like, I don't know who else these would possibly be for.
I think I used to scoff at Brian's, don't buy packs, buy singles sort of mantra. And really, I'll tell you what, I'm starting to feel more on the perspective of maybe I just want to buy singles instead of buying any sort of sealed product for any reason. Just for the fact is, at least the game stores get more money and can benefit from it, and I support their ability to have a business.
I'm slowly moving beyond buy singles to just proxy everything. As soon as I find a way to play fake cards in a tournament, you bet your ass I will.
Oh, I'm sure people have. All right. Well, moving on from this tired, depressing topic, although very, very interesting topic at that.
Despite all this, I really do love this game.
Same here. Same here.
The game is just the best card game on the planet.
And think about it. We're coming together this weekend to play this game for many hours. Why? Because Magic is the Gathering.
Magic is the Gathering. It's a fantastic game, and it's a fantastic way to spend an evening with friends.
Exactly. Speaking of gathering and friends, and this next topic has nothing to do with that. But we're gathered here as friends. Segue. We're gathered here as friends to talk about this topic.
Is this Michael gets to be right, but also he gets to be happy about it this time?
Maybe Nintendo Switch. So Nintendo Switch 2, or people had coined this previously as Nintendo Switch Pro, has resurfaced, meaning dialogue around this. Now, I have a personal connection, and I'm not going to say who, where, or how, but I have a personal connection, and I've talked about it on this podcast previously with Joe. So this predates you, Mike, but I have a Nintendo insider and a developer insider with a few gaming outlets. I'm not going to say what type of outlets. But they often afford me inside information, because they know that I will not talk about them publicly. But I will talk about publicly what they have told me. But this is not only just me, like there's other leakers out there, right? On many different avenues. And so on 4chan, this leaker came out recently, which subsequently
you gotta take stuff from 4chan with a huge grain of salt.
Except for this leaker is a very historic leaker in the Nintendo space, because they're almost 95% correct when things come out leaked from this person, or this channel, I should say. So the history of this particular leaker is legendary within the community. So, however, the people that I know have also, a day before this came out, so I got sent this information on the 23rd of February. So this was before this leaker came out, right? And I got some of the same information that not all, and actually I've gotten more than what is in this leak. And basically, I'll read the leak. Basically, this leaker is a programmer at a Pokemon outsourcing company. And, they cite that their English is very poor, what have you. So they're using a machine to translate for, English. But basically, there is so Scarlet and Violet, right? Is that what it is right now?
The two most recent Pokemon games.
The two most recent Pokemon games. So we know that there's going to be 3, possibly 4 sets of DLC for that game, and it's been known for some time. They're working on the second DLC, but they're also working on the third DLC, which will come later. And essentially speaking, one of the things that they say in here is we're working on a graphics patch enhancement for the new Nintendo Switch models that will be released alongside DLC 2. Now, DLC 2 is supposed to come out in early 2023. That's when that DLC 2 is supposed to come out. Do you know, like you're more into the Pokemons. Did DLC 1 come out yet?
I don't know. I never bought Scarlet and Violet.
Okay. Well, so essentially speaking, what's been alluded here is they're already developing on new Switch hardware, right? And they had followed up today with a new post to clarify some things. And basically they're just clarifying yes. Because there was some speculation that the broken English part of that phrase got misconstrued with the translation. But they confirmed in their new post that that's not, they're talking about the new system hardware that will be releasing alongside the DLC release that happens in early 2023. Now, what I'm going to recap, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike, because I've been talking a lot, is the details that I've been provided. I'm just going to run down my bullet list really quick, and then I'm just going to let you unleash. But
why are you always going to put this on me? Make me the bad guy.
No. I don't think he's the bad guy.
I'm actually really excited about this.
So here are the details that I know that I've been provided that I can share. There are some things I'm holding back, but this is what I can share. The rumored Switch Pro that was previously announced or previously leaked is actually the Switch 2 that they've been working on all along. However, it's not the Switch 2. It's the name isn't disclosed at the moment, right? Like they haven't disclosed the name.
Yeah, Switch 2 is a placeholder name.
Yeah. This model will replace any of the existing Switch models that are out there, except the OLED model, which will continue to be sold. So they'll have the OLED model that we have currently and this new Switch hardware. And the OLED version will be sold for $299, which I think that's the current price for it anyways.
So remind me again, the OLED version has the same hardware as the current Switch.
Yes.
It's just got an updated screen.
Updated and larger screen.
And larger, okay.
Yeah. The Switch 2 will feature an SD card slot, which I'm still questioning this one. I don't know if I don't see why Nintendo would do that, but I digress.
Their games are getting bigger.
That's the information.
Or people are using digital games.
So the Nintendo Switch featuring an SD card slot is very interesting to me. We'll see how that plays out.
You know, the 3DS had an SD card slot.
Oh, it did?
Yes, it did.
Oh, well, then maybe that I'd never had a 3DS. So, maybe. Okay, maybe that's not too odd then. All right. The next bullet point. It will use an NVIDIA chipset. So it'll have an 8-core CPU and GPU capable of producing 4K graphics when docked. However,
that's exciting.
However, there is currently, because what I was told, there's no physical docks available right now for dev kits. They cannot confirm or say that they can output from the dock in 4K.
Fair enough.
But the hardware is capable of producing 4K graphics when docked because it's in the coding. It will use the same cartridge format as the current generation of the Switch.
Aha!
It will sell for $349 US. However, it will not contain or be bundled with a dock or a controller.
That's nonsense. That I don't see that being true forever. $349 for just the console. My guess is they will definitely have like another, like for $50 more, they'll bundle it. So, not coming with a controller is kind of strange though.
Well, because it's it has the Joy-Con or whatever the Well, we'll get to that.
It would come with a. I see. I follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will so you will be able to purchase a dock and controller bundled separately. However, there's still no confirmation if a dock will produce 4K graphics to a TV. Handheld will remain as a 1080p on an OLED screen. So they are carrying over an OLED screen into the new Switch.
Which, to be fair, I don't think is there, with the size that screen is there a benefit to going 4K? Like there's kind of just no point in engineering that.
No. Handheld will move, the handheld machine will move away from the current Joy-Con design in favor of a more ergonomic design. So like some of the third-party stuff that's out there now, it's supposedly supposed to be more ergonomic than the Joy-Cons.
That may be my favorite bit of news in this entire leak.
The Nintendo Switch 2, well, hold on, before I get to that, the system will launch, get this I thought was interesting and very, very specific. The system will launch with Metroid Prime 4, a new Mario Kart game, and an enhanced version of Pokemon Scarlet game series. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And then finally, the new Nintendo Switch will release Christmas time of 2023 this year, and will be announced during the summer Nintendo Direct.
That's going to be a fun Direct. I can't wait to do the episode on that one.
So again, keep in mind, and the disclaimer I'm going to put on this is all leaks. This is all rumor at this point. There's nothing specifically confirmed. However, if this information turns out to be true, which I think there is a very good chance that a majority of this is true, this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's a couple of lines here specifically that make me feel validated for things we've talked about in other episodes. Specifically, we were talking about Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, there's no way they release this giant game that costs this much money at this point in the console's life cycle and not have it be able to transfer to the next console.
Yeah.
Well, here you've got it's going to have an SD card slot, which tells me they're banking on people using digital game downloads, which means very likely to be able to transfer over, and also same cartridge format, which means they want people to use their cartridges on the next console.
I think having two OLED models, like a lower model and a top end model, like to me, I feel like that's something Nintendo would do. Like They've done that in the past for handheld devices.
The 3D, the DS line had, if you count 3 and 3D, if the blah 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 words are hard. If you count the Nintendo DS and the DS Lite and the 3DS and the 3DS XL, and I think there might have been another one in there somewhere, but that line had like at least four different versions.
I mean, look, again, like I said, I think $349 without a dock still sounds a little interesting, and I'm kind of surprised that was a specific call out, that it would just be like the Switch with the the controls part of the Switch and no dock, and you have to buy that separately.
That doesn't feel good. I don't like that. But this was clearly in a lot of development during the huge inflationary period that we've been having, so they can only do so much about that, or only want to do so much about that.
but if you think about it, people have been complaining for some time, right, about the fidelity and the graphic output that the Switch provides, that it's a little bit of a slog, right?
It is.
So I think if my guess is maybe potentially the dock is more of an expensive device for them to produce if people really want to have 4K gaming output to their TV.
Does the dock actually do any processing though? Like, I thought it was just like it just gives you an HDMI adapter effectively, right?
Oh no. So even like current Switch generations, You have upgraded power and graphics docked versus than when you do handheld.
I guess you're right. It would make sense then for it to have some sort of GPU in it. And they're going with NVIDIA, so they're probably making use of like their DSLI stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. So my guess, potentially, I guess with this information, it could be the fact that the dock potentially can have an extra GPU core to produce that 4K push, right? So it's the power plus GPU push.
Yeah, and silicon is not cheap right now.
No.
So I get it.
Because
that's a lot though.
At that point, you're talking about a dock being an eGPU, like an eGPU unit for your Switch. And think about, so if I remember correctly, so the and I'm thinking from a film editing perspective, but Blackmagic, who is a popular company who makes film cameras, right? Their eGPU for and it was made for both Windows and PC units. Windows and Mac computers. Like that eGPU, although was probably more robust than what Nintendo will produce, that one was, that was a $700 eGPU to boost your graphic capability of doing high-end graphics, editing, and animation. So if you reduce that down to the Nintendo level, let's just say they say it's $100 for a dock and control, a pro controller.
Sure.
4K graphics and a controller. Like that kind of actually makes sense.
I could see it. I guess when you put it that way, you can't be mad about it. Now, here's my question. If you're a person like me and you kind of don't care about high fidelity graphics, can you use this with your existing dock?
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't know.
Because the dock the current Switch has is 1080p, right?
Yeah, and I doubt it because, from my understanding, this unit is going to be larger than the current Switch.
Oh yeah, it's probably got a bigger board and some bigger chipsets on it.
Yeah.
But that would be really cool if you had Switch OLED and Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo, and you could choose between the 1080p or the 4K dock. Given that part of the marketing for the Switch is modularity, I would lean into that if I were the developer.
That's actually not a bad thought, and not out of the realm of the possibility of being able to dock a Switch 2 on a Switch dock.
Because that makes sense too. Like, if everybody who owns a Switch already has a dock, why would they bundle the Switch 2 with a dock? You don't need to buy a second dock if it fits into the first one, right?
Unless you want 4K graphics.
Unless you want 4K, in which case, pay a little extra for it.
Holy smokes. Well, think about this. Wait a minute. Hold on.
We've entered the pure speculation zone.
Okay. So now think about that, right? What if I have an OLED original, like an OLED Switch 1, right? And what if if they are universal in that way where they can plug in, could my OLED Switch 1 go in a Switch 2 dock
to get 4K
and do 4K upscale?
Or for that matter, could the current Switch?
Right.
Because the OLED wouldn't matter if you're docked.
Well,
unless it's got a little bit better processing. I don't know.
Yeah, so the OLED does have a different processor in it because of the OLED enhancements. Right?
Sure.
And that's why I'm guessing the reason why they're getting rid of Switch Lite and original Switch, right? And OLED is the only one going forward, is likely those two would be universal. Potentially.
Sure.
Speculation.
Sure. That would make sense. That would make sense. Why design two different docks?
Right.
Yeah, I'm now I'm actually just more interested in how the docks are going to work.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the Joy-Con redesign, whatever that turns out to be. The current Joy-Cons, first of all, break just like by existing. And Nintendo is backed up to next year with replacement inquiries. But yeah, they are not ergonomic at all.
No.
They're super hard to use.
I actually I have been of the benefit to have two Switches in my house that do not have drift issues with the original Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Well, I have one Switch, but yeah, I have not had issues with mine either, thankfully. But typically I either play in handheld mode, which is a little easier on the sticks, I think. Or I bought a controller, a Switch controller for it.
All I have to say is the person that I have received this information from is often pretty dead on what's happening in the background.
Sure.
Now we'll see, is yet to be known, but I actually kind of surprised that if this is coming out in this Christmas, and I'll sort of I'm gonna say I'm gonna end with this, but then I'm gonna ask a question to you. I think it's interesting that it's supposed to come out this year still. And we haven't heard boo about it. Although that is kind of Nintendo's MO these days, where they just shadow drop stuff. Shadow dropping a console, though, that's a new next level kind of shadow dropping for Nintendo.
It makes you wonder if their business strategy. So every other company, Magic included, we'll talk about them, and Games Workshop has been a little bit guilty of this too, for Warhammer. Everyone's running on the constant hype train, right? They're trying to get their customers to always be tuned in, always be max excitement for everything that's coming out. Maybe Nintendo sees that and says, okay, our marketing strategy is to just let people breathe for 5 minutes, and then we'll give them stuff when it's time. Because in all the noise that everyone else is creating, we're not going to be anything special in that.
Thanks for listening to our most recent episode of Uneducated Gamers. You can go to Galaxy Game TV to post comments on each of our episodes, or if you have a question or a topic you would like us to include in an episode, feel free to leave a comment. Until next week, we bid you farewell.